Welcome, guys, and it's with great pleasure that we welcome you once again after a 1-month break from the virtual monthly meeting, club meeting by the RiseVest Investment Group. So while we're still waiting for people to join in, I can see we have 51, 52 people joining in already. I'll just wait a little bit more for people to join before we go into the program proper. Then just when we're about to go into the program proper, I'm going to do a refresh of the meeting and then get back to it again. Just to get it started, my name is Jesse Oguntime, but for short, Oguns. That's the name I'm popularly known on social media. I work with RiseVest and I handle community as well as learning, because a very good investor is one who understands properly their money, understand investing, understand risk management, and at the same time, understand some simple principles like compounding and some money principle, compounding cash flow. And so such retail investor, such individual can properly invest to grow fund and then probably maybe achieve whatever goal they have in the future. Could be retiring young, could be buying a house, paying for children's school fees, or whatever the goal may be. So, and I'm here being joined by my colleague, Chubi, and we are expecting 2 guests to join us. One of the guests is Njoku, Emmanuel, and who will be giving us a formal introduction of himself. And today we want to talk about crypto. We are going to talk about crypto. Yes, the first question you're likely going to be asking is, why are we talking about crypto when RiseVest doesn't offer crypto? Well, this is being sponsored by the RiseVest Investment Club. And in investing, we focus on education. We educate you about money, about finances, about assets, even digital assets that can show or give you opportunity to earn an income. So this is basically for information and education purpose only. We're not advocating for you to invest in crypto or DeFi, but we want to educate you about the opportunities, the risk, and where it's coming from, where crypto is, the innovation happening in the space, and what are the prospects in the future. Choosing to invest in it or not to invest in it is going to be a decision you make on your own. But we are going to provide you some background information that can help you make a better, smarter decision. So now we're going to get started with the program. And the reason why we're here is to talk about blockchain crypto. We're going to talk about DeFi. We're going to talk about NFT. And we're going to talk about crypto in general. And we shall be looking at what are the opportunities that exist there, what are the risks, and how can someone participate in it in a very safe way. So we're going to have 2 guests, but the first guest who is already here with us is Njoku Emmanuel, who is the CEO and co-founder of Lazerpay. Emmanuel, you're welcome. Can you please give us like a brief 30-second to 1-minute introduction about yourself and your company?
Okay. Hello everyone. Njoku Emmanuel, and I'm the CEO and founder of Lazerpay. Yeah. So Lazerpay is basically a crypto-powered payment gateway, right? That's running on a smart contract infrastructure. So we are basically building the Stripe for crypto, but then leveraging smart contracts and decentralized finance to provide more value and earnings to the merchants and businesses on our platform. Yeah.
Much. Now, 2 things you've mentioned that I will be taking you up on eventually. You mentioned smart contract and you mentioned DeFi. We will be talking about it, but before we talk about smart contract proper, there's been so much talk about DeFi. Like sometimes people ask me, you said DeFi, What is DeFi? how can I get into DeFi, blah, blah, blah. So tell us, what is DeFi and why is it important?
Yeah, so basically, right, DeFi stands for decentralized finance, right? So it's basically a term used to like describe or it's basically a term used to describe financial applications built on top of the blockchain. That's it, right? So any financial application built on top of the blockchain is termed a decentralized application, or a decentralized finance system, right? So let's say, for instance, RiseVest is being built on the blockchain, right? It can be called a DeFi protocol, right? So it's basically a financial system that like leverages what the blockchain has to offer, right? To provide financial services to like its users. Yeah. So and about why DeFi is important, right? I mean, like it actually has a very big potential, right? To like create a very open and fair market, right? In the sense that with the way the current traditional finance is, right, with if you compare traditional finance and you compare decentralized finance, right, you see that decentralized finance provides a very fair and open market, in the sense that the people participating in decentralized finance has like full authority of their funds, full control of their funds, right? And then there's like no third party, or there's no centralized system, right, that has access to these funds. Yeah.
Okay, please, what are some of the similarities? You know, when you're talking to someone who is already very familiar with traditional finance and you want to draw the person into DeFi, can you share with us some of the similarities, some of the things that we do in traditional finance that we can also do in decentralized finance, which is DeFi?
Yeah, so basically, right, you can pretty much do everything you do on traditional finance, right, on decentralized finance, right? So with traditional finance, you can actually borrow money, right? You can actually lend money as well. You can also earn interest on maybe like assets you keep in the banks, right? Like 0.5% APY or stuff like that, right? You could still do that with DeFi, right? So the idea of DeFi is basically what we have in the current traditional system, right? So what we have in the current traditional finance system, right? And then we just take that infrastructure, right, and put on the blockchain. So they could actually go hand in hand, right? There are like lots of similarities between traditional finance and centralized finance, in the sense that the only difference between them is that one is running on the blockchain and then one is running on a centralized system. Do you get? But coming from a traditional finance standpoint, you can pretty much do everything you do on traditional finance on decentralized finance. Yeah.
All right. So there's a saying that if it's not broken, don't fix it. If centralized finance is working optimally and doing all it's supposed to do, so why do we try to make it more complicated for ourselves? Decentralized finance, you need to get a wallet, you need to do this, you need to do that. So now when we contrast both traditional finance and decentralized finance, why reinvent the wheel? Why should I want to go into decentralized finance if traditional finance is working?
Yeah, so basically, right, personally, I feel traditional finance and decentralized finance can like go hand in hand, right? And where I think where the blockchain would evolve, right, and then become really great is where traditional finance can actually go hand in hand with centralized finance, right? If you can find this, you can find a synergy or a middle ground between traditional finance and centralized finance, right? So yeah, if they could actually work hand in hand, right? This is that point that changes a lot of things, right, on the blockchain, where you could you have like reward assets, right? You could use your house, you could use your car as a collateral to like take loans on the blockchain, right? I mean, like bringing in reward assets to the blockchain, right? It's using the physical properties to like access loans on the blockchain. So personally, right, decentralized finance is not like reinventing the wheel. It's basically improving what we currently have, right? It's basically improving the traditional finance system. It's not like it's reinventing. So being that it's improving traditional finance systems, right? For you to like interact with DeFi systems, right? There are steps you need to like go through, right? Like having a wallet and stuff like that. Same way you like the same way you have to like interact with traditional finance, right? Where you like sign up, you create an account with a bank, stuff like that, right? That's same approach. So traditional personally, I think decentralized finance is not here to like kick out traditional finance, right? It's basically improving it. It's basically improving what we have then, like what we have today, right? In traditional finance and centralized finance systems. Like I said, where it will actually get more interesting is where we could find the middle ground between decentralized finance and traditional finance, right? Where there could be a synergy between these two ecosystems, which is already happening today, right? I was previously a blockchain integrations engineer at MakerDAO, and at MakerDAO, one of the things we're working on was reward assets, right? Where we could actually like use your physical properties, right, as collaterals to borrow money or to borrow funds from the blockchain on chain, right? So it's actually happening, right? The evolution has currently started, right? And I'm really bullish about that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. Now, you see, what you said really sparks something in me. You said it's not replacing it, so it's going to be complementary, but it's going to give it more power. I mean, sort of, it reminds me of how men used to move about with horses and carts in the past. And then if men made the horses faster, what we'll just have is faster horses.
Yeah.
But when men brought about cars look nothing like the horses, but they make things even a bit more faster. Now, given that situation, how can we, as individuals who already have a bank account, have some KYC, have some other assets that are in traditional finance, maybe stocks, maybe bonds, real estate, land, maybe have some cash in our bank account. How can we begin to understand DeFi? So that is to say, how does DeFi work? Now, all I know is traditional finance, and I want to go into DeFi. Can you take me through how I can onboard into DeFi?
Okay. Yeah. So first off, right, decentralized finance is really broad, right? Like different parts of decentralized finance. That same with traditional finance is really broad, where you have like investment banking, and then you have stock exchange, and then real estate, right? So that's the same way decentralized finance works. And basically, decentralized finance runs on the blockchain, right? So and then the only identifier, the way you identify someone on the blockchain is with its wallet address, right? So that's the way you like identify users on your decentralized finance application, right? So I mean, there are like so many ways people are actually working with decentralized finance, right? One is lending and borrowing, right? The other lending, and then the other one is like getting a loan, and then trading, and also right? So basically, like for lending, it's like I have Ethereum today, right? As maybe I have Ethereum on my Binance as a traditional finance person, right? And then I follow the steps on a decentralized finance protocol, right? To like create an account, which is basically creating a wallet, right? And then I go there, and I basically don't want to sell my Ethereum now because Ethereum is currently like worth $4,200, and maybe in the future it will be worth $6,000, right? And then I just need $5,000. I mean I need $3,000 for something, right? Like sort out a bill. Do you get? And I cannot selling my Ethereum, right, at that point, and then it's going up in the future, right? That would basically like keep me at loss, right? So what decentralized finance has done, right, is it has given you that opportunity, right? It has given you the ability to like use your Ethereum as collateral to like take USDT or to take a stable coin that you could use to like sort out your bills. And then once you have that stable coin, you pay back and then you get your Ethereum. So whether Ethereum is $6,000 or $7,000 at that point, you get back the Ethereum you deposited, right? So you can actually see this and compare it with the way loans work, right? You want to like borrow, money from the bank, right? You have to like provide the collateral.
So I don't want to sell my house, but I want to borrow money.
Exactly. Do you get? So you have to like say, okay, here's my house, take it, keep it for me, right? Just give me this money. When I pay back, return my house, right? That's the same thing you do to these DeFi protocols and be like, okay, look at this asset I have. It's called ETH, right? Or it's called Ethereum. Take it and then give me this amount of money. When I return the money, give me back my assets, right? So that's the way it works. And Another thing, DeFi has actually changed. It's the way people learn, right? So I was talking about borrowing, right? It's the way people actually learn. So for instance, I have like lots of USDT, right? I have lots of USDT. I can go to a particular DeFi protocol and then lend my USDT to like this protocol, right? And this USDT is now what would be used to like give to the people that come on the platform to like borrow. Same way in banks, right? You actually, the money we deposit in banks are being used, right? Like the general just kept there, right? But then they're being used without our permissions, right? And then you don't like get zero to like not, you get like 0 to like 0.5% interest or sort of, right? But then with decentralized finance, you see that you're actually the one that is saying, take this money, right? I'm lending you this money. You can use it to like borrow other people, and then I can come back and like take my money, right, with interest or with profits, right? So how do you like get into like DeFi, right? I mean, there are lots of DeFi protocols out there. There are lots of DeFi decentralized finance systems. Same way we have like RiseVest as a traditional finance system, right? Used in investing. You can it's actually synonymous to like having something like compound protocol, right? So compound protocol is a decentralized finance application, right? Where you can lend and borrow assets, right? And also invest in these assets that like earn yields. So same way you think of RiseVest, that's the same way you like think of these DeFi protocols. And then same way you think of, oh, I'm creating an account on this platform, or I'm registering it. Same way you like think of, I just want to generate an address, right? That address is my identifier. That address means that I'm actually a user of this platform, right? And then another interesting feature of DeFi is basically trading, right? Where you can make peer-to-peer trades. Like I have ETH, right? And then I just want BNB, or I want BTC, right? I can just come on the market and exchange it directly with someone that I don't know, right? And then the middleman is the blockchain. The middleman is not a centralized system, or the middleman is not a bank, right? The middleman is the blockchain, the smart contracts, right? Or the protocols that are actually running on the blockchain. Yeah, so that's it.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. You've said so many things now, and it's been very, very insightful and informative. I'm just going to do a bit of a refresh for the meeting. So thank you so much, all our audience, for joining us. And you've been listening to us talk about cryptocurrency, DeFi, NFT. What are the opportunities? What are the risks? And how to get on board. And we've been talking to Njoku Emmanuel, who is the CEO of Lazerpay. They have a system where they process payments on the blockchain. Now, he has been talking to us about how traditional finance compares with decentralized finance. But it will excite our audience to know that there is one man in the middle. There is a particular one in the middle that we have not mentioned. It's called centralized finance. That is, we have the centralized exchanges, like the Binance, the Coinbase, the Bitcoin, and the Ride. They are centralized finance. Njoku, I know this is not part of the question, but it feels like many people who are in crypto today, they are mostly familiar with the centralized finance through the centralized exchanges. Don't you think so?
Yeah, I mean, that's correct.
Now, what, Chubi, you want to say something? You're raising your hand.
Yeah, so I just had a question for Njoku, but after you, please.
All right, okay. So now for the centralized exchange and the decentralized, so for most of the people, so that they can have a proper understanding, like a bridge of knowledge. So since many of them just know that they can buy a coin and trade it in a centralized exchange, buy ETH, buy Bitcoin, buy SHIB or buy Doge, buy it and sell it and earn money. So how does the centralized exchange and the decentralized, where do they bridge? What's the relationship between them?
Yeah, so for the relationship between centralized exchange and then decentralized exchanges we have out there is the fact that you can still trade assets, right? You can still swap your BNB to Ethereum, or swap your Bitcoins like any other coin, right? That's like the relationship between these guys. But then the difference is that one stands for centralized exchange, right? And the other is decentralized exchange, right? So Binance is a centralized exchange, while PancakeSwap is a decentralized exchange. So for a centralized exchange, right, the difference between a centralized exchange and a decentralized exchange is that a centralized exchange actually holds your money for you, right? Like they actually have authority over your money, right? You can wake up tomorrow morning and then withdrawals are disabled in Binance, right? And then you cannot move out your money. I mean, you should have experienced it, right? So, but then for decentralized exchanges, right? It's basically a non-custodial stuff, right? So you basically own, and that's why it's more complex, right? Because decentralized exchanges gives users the ability to like manage their keys, like so for Binance, just log in, right? Use your phone number or your email address and then your password to log in, and then an OTP is being sent to you to your email, right? But then with decentralized exchanges, right, what you just do is to connect your wallet, and that wallet you're connecting, right, is you actually have the private key, right? And that private key is exposed. The moment you release that private key out to someone, right, all your funds can go missing. The platform doesn't have authority, or you can't hold them accountable for your funds. Do you get? But for centralized exchanges, right, these platforms already, like, they just create an account for you and generate a wallet for you, right? And then they actually trade on your behalf, right? They actually exchange these cryptocurrencies on your behalf, right? While for decentralized exchanges, you actually do that yourself and manage and then manage your keys and trading of these assets yourself. Yeah.
Thank you. Chobi, over to you.
All right. Thank you. So Njoku, I just wanted to throw this one to you real quick. You said from your own opinion that you think or you believe that there would be a synergy between traditional finance and DeFi sometime in the future. So I know the allure of DeFi is the fact that it takes out the middleman from all transactions. So it takes away the banks and all of that. How do you see? And again, I don't expect you to know the future, but we just want your opinion. How do you see these financial institutions getting on board with that going forward? Because I definitely think DeFi would get bigger going forward as more people open up their eyes to it, because obviously that gives me much more control of my transactions, of my money. It gives me much more security on that front. How do you see the financial institutions getting on board with that? Does it completely shift them away, or do they have to now kind of evolve to DeFi? Because I can imagine that it's not something that would be welcoming for them.
Thanks for that, right? So I mean, the whole goal of the blockchain, right, is to like remove the middleman, right? Is to like give people the ability to like have control over their funds, right? But we shouldn't forget that the financial market is the largest financial market is still the traditional finance market, right? And every day we actually need fiat, right? So the crypto people are getting, like they actually get it through fiat, actually get it through a traditional finance system, right? So I still need naira, or I still need dollars every day, right? So the synergy I was talking about, right, was like a scenario where I can use my assets, my centralized assets, right, my fiscal assets, like I can basically use my naira to like, so that's actually what Binance is solving. Just that Binance is actually centralized, right? Imagine you going on PancakeSwap and being able to like use your naira, or being able to like use dollar to like exchange this stuff for like cryptocurrency, and then directly from your wallet you can send this cryptocurrency to like a bank account, right? I mean, that end-to-end flow is actually what we are looking for, right? Where you can start from your bank and end with your wallet, and then start from your wallet and still end up in your bank. Because I mean, at the end of the day, we all still need fiat, right? We all still need naira, we all still need dollar, right? And then for the financial institutions, right, I mean, they actually see decentralized finance finance as a competition, right? But they can't still do without, right? Because the people that are buying this crypto these days, right, they actually use Naira, they actually use dollars to get it, right? So the thing is, decentralized finance is not like there to like kick them out. It's not like there to like replace them. Yeah, it's just for them to like come in, and decentralized finance can like plug into like traditional finance, right? Where most of the market share is, right? And then imagine people being able to like use their naira as use their naira or fiat dollar as collateral to like borrow USDT or to like borrow some crypto assets on the blockchain, right? I mean, that's actually where to evolve, right? So yeah.
Right. Thank you. Now let's take this conversation one step further. When something is very good, there will always be downsides. I mean, I'm sure this is the thing that is coming in the minds of so many people who are listening to us already, and some have started even popping in the question. I mean, you spoke about the risk involved in you having your wallet and managing it. If you expose your keys, there is also the risk of if you're in a centralized exchange and maybe you need money urgently, but withdrawal is disabled. So what are some of the risks when someone wants to come into crypto and be involved in decentralized finance? What are some of the risks they should be aware of?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks, Jesse. So basically, right. I mean, for me, right, the most important risks and to today it still scares me is volatility, right? I mean, imagine waking up one morning and you have Ethereum which is $5,000. Imagine waking up one morning and then that Ethereum is worth $1,000. Right. I mean that's crazy. That's actually a big risk that people like take every day in DeFi and the crypto ecosystem, right? So personally, I actually don't believe money should be that volatile, right? Where you wake up one morning and then your $10,000 like worth $2,000, right? So the downside of this is that DeFi users, right, or crypto users experience high volatility, right? And then another downside of this decentralized finance system is fees. Right. I mean, your bank charges you how much like they transfer, like Naira transfer, like 20 Naira, 25 Naira, right? But then if you go on the blockchain, right? If you go on the Ethereum blockchain, performing a transaction on the Ethereum blockchain can cost like $200. I mean, that's a whole lot. And the average class won't be able to like bring out $200 to like pay for a transaction fee, and then maybe you're like trying to like swap from BNB to like ETH, right? So another risk there is transaction fees, right? And the third risk, which is what I continue to like explore daily, is the issue of security, right? So 60% of the smart contracts or blockchain systems out there are actually vulnerable to hacks, right? We hear of this every day, right? Where we wake up one morning and see that there's a hack on Compound Protocol, and then $180 million was lost. There's also a hack and some amount of money was lost, right? So these are like the risks. And then and then this as a builder, right, in this ecosystem, you have to like be intentional about these risks, right? Especially the side of security. These smart contracts are basically open source. They are just out there, and then people like scan them for like security vulnerabilities, right? You could wake up one morning and then you could lose all your money, right? So even the issue of you having to like manage your own wallet yourself, right? If you manage your wallet yourself, and then you also you need to like store your private key somewhere, you need to like you need to store your secret somewhere, right? Imagine storing it on your computer. Anything that is on the internet, right, or anything that is on the cloud can basically be hacked, and you could actually lose money, right? So I mean, storing of private keys and seed phrase, the only most secure way of storing that is like writing it down on a piece of paper, right? And then anytime you forget your password, you can like recover your account through that, right? So I actually mentioned three downsides, right? One which is how expensive the blockchain is, right? In terms of like one of the biggest blockchains, Ethereum, it's like really expensive, and the average traditional user cannot afford to be paying $200 to $500 for gas fees for just a little transaction, right? The other downside you mentioned is high volatility, which is like a very huge downside. I mean, people commit suicide because they actually lost their ETH, or they woke up one morning and then their BTC that is worth $60,000 is now worth $30,000, right? I mean, lost like $30,000 just because you like went to sleep and then you woke up the next morning to like check your wallet, right? And then and the other risks you mentioned is like the security risk, which is one of like the biggest downside, right, of decentralized exchanges and then the blockchain systems. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I love this. And there is one other risk that many people in Nigeria are probably familiar with. It's the regulatory risk.
Oh, yeah.
That risk, it's a real risk because the regulators, they regulate fiat. And for you to begin a journey in decentralized finance, you need to be able to convert your fiat to a crypto. And most importantly, the gateway to move from fiat to any crypto is a centralized exchange.
Yeah.
You can't move your fiat like Naira or dollar or pounds or euro to a DeFi platform straight away. There's no bridge.
Yeah.
You have to first move on to a centralized exchange. But folks in Nigeria at the moment do not have the means and ability to move from their bank directly to a centralized exchange. Now, why that is not up for debate on this program, that's not why we're here. I'm just saying when the regulators come with some strict measures that makes it difficult for people to move from fiat to crypto and crypto to fiat, that's a kind of risk that scares people and makes it difficult for them to play in the. So I'm just adding that as an extra point. I love the points you mentioned: volatility, huge fees, and security risk. But the other thing we would have then go on to discuss is if there are risks, there will always be a way of managing the risk.
Yeah.
Yes. So, for instance, I can talk about how to manage the risk of volatility, but that of fees, what are the options? Ethereum is not the only blockchain.
Yeah. So basically, right, there are actually other blockchains, right? And I mean, blockchain engineers are like working hard to like bring up solutions, right, that actually like make these stuffs cheaper, right? So you can see there's the Binance Smart Chain, right, which is fairly cheap, and also the Solana blockchain, which is that's like very, very cheap. Like the fees are actually negligible, right? But then it's actually a matter of time, right, before we begin to like see before we begin to like see very cheap fees, right? Most I mean like the Ethereum ecosystem, right, is really broad, and that's what people are like really familiar with. But then you see these other ecosystems like Solana, Arbitrum, Polygon, right? These are ecosystems that people are not really familiar with. Traditional finance users are not actually familiar with, and I mean they can't just jump into like working with a platform that is actually like running on the Solana blockchain, right? So the solutions like the issues of fees is basically bringing up these blockchains, right, that are actually cheaper, right, that actually has the same values that Ethereum blockchain has, and these other blockchains being able to like being able to simplify things for their users, right? We're putting out lots of educational resources out there on how to like educate the traditional users on how to like use these blockchains, right, or how to like interact with these blockchains. Same way Ethereum Foundation has like actually like laid a foundation for that, so people easily interact on Ethereum on Ethereum blockchain. And then the only issues we have there is fees. But then if all these other blockchains, right, can actually come up and actually do the same thing, right, I mean that would be massive, and that would solve the problem of fees for like for traditional users. Also, right, there are also like lots of solutions people like exploring, right, like the layer 2 solution, right, which makes crypto transactions faster and also cheaper as well. But it still has the issue of being able to like educate people, or the developers being able to like simplify stuff for traditional finance users or the regular Web2 users to like start interacting with these platforms. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Now, I would love us to take it to another level now, where we'll talk about where we are in blockchain innovation and crypto now. Because given many of the things we have discussed now, it's pretty obvious that at this level, some people will get scared by everything we have discussed. They would rather just like to stick with their bank account and stick with traditional investments, maybe like with RiseVest, buying stocks, real estate, or buying a land and building it. So how do you manage the issue of volatility? If volatility is a risk, how can a retail investor manage volatility?
Okay, yeah, thanks for that, Jesse. So that's why there are stable coins, right? That is why people created stable coins, right? You've seen BUSD, which is the Binance USD, USDT, you've seen likes of DAI, right? And also USDC, right? So as a traditional finance person, right? I mean, if I want to interact with the blockchain, I instead of like buying ETH or buying BTC, right? I could actually hold these crypto assets that are stable, right? Stable being that it's actually equivalent to the United States dollar, right? So one BUSD is equivalent to one USD, right? And then you can never see one BUSD below $1, right? Or below $0.5, right? You get so as a traditional finance user, right, coming into like the DeFi space, it's actually best to like start with these stable coins where you actually protect yourself from volatility, right? Using USDT, BUSD, USDC, and DAI to like trade on these platforms. That way, you know that anytime you come back to the platform, your $1 is still your $1. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Now let's move to the segment where we take questions from our audience because this has been done for them. I'm going to read some of the questions that have been posted here. So members of the audience, please feel free to use the comment section as well as the Q&A section at the bottom to ask your question. Someone is saying, how can Bitcoin, although we didn't discuss this, but it's a relevant conversation, how can Bitcoin serve as a medium of exchange? If I owed one BTC at 58K last month, will I pay one BTC 54K today?
Yeah, I mean that's actually something that, so if I'm a business owner, right, and I accept BTC, right, it's my responsibility. I have to like I have to know about the volatility, right? I have to understand that someone can pay me one BTC for something, and then that one BTC is worth $56,000, right? And that's the worth of that asset. And you now, before the money gets to the merchant or the money gets to like the business owner, BTC is already $54,000. That's the merchant has that merchant has actually like lost $2,000, right? So that's actually one of the problems we are solving at Lazerpay, right? Where people can be able to like pay with BTC and ETH, right? Although currently we just accept stable coins, but then people will be able to like pay with BTC and ETH, right? Which are like volatile currencies, and then we actually swap them with USDT, right? So that actually protects the businesses, because most important people here that will be affected by this volatility will be the businesses, right? So they actually say this stuff is one BTC and you pay one BTC, which is 56K, and they end up receiving 52K, right? Or they wake up the next day and then the BTC is like 49K. So they've actually like lost a huge amount of money, right? Do you get? So that's actually one of the problems we are actually solving at Lazerpay, right? So the end user pays in BTC while the merchant receives a stable coin that protects him from volatility, right? Do you get? Yeah. So that's it.
All right, thank you. I'm going to take one more question, but before then, let me welcome our other guest who has just joined us. His name is Ezekiel Orji, and we understand how it can be sometimes trying to navigate through traffic in some cities and all that. So please let's bear with him, knowing that he joined us late, but welcome Ezekiel Orji. Is an NFT artist, and now we'll be discussing about DeFi generally and crypto. And part of what we intend to discuss today as well is NFTs. As a form of educating and informing us, a lot of people have heard about NFTs. They've seen it, they've heard about it. There's the NFT, there's the metaverse, there's the game space where people use NFTs. All of those people want to know what it is. So let me take one more question, and then we'll come back to Ezekiel. But Ezekiel, can you please introduce yourself before I move back to Njoku? Your mic is muted.
On mute. So first of all, I need to give my first apologies because it was not easy me getting here. I was struggling all the way from traffic and everything. And then when I got home, the door was locked. So my sincerest apologies for actually missing the meeting. And second of all, my name is Ezekiel Orji, but everyone calls me Kel Orji. I'm a digital artist from Lagos, Nigeria. I'm more of a multidisciplinary digital artist. And this year I became an NFT artist. So yeah, that's what I do. I'm a full-time artist.
All right. Thank you very much. Njoku, one more question that I have for you here before we move to Njoku is, okay, I think we've pretty much answered most of the questions. Okay, how can I get a direct DeFi wallet address? That's from Njoku.
Yeah. So let me correct that, right? There is I don't think it's the right term to use, right? DeFi wallet address. Centralized Finance is there, and then you can have your wallet address without even interacting with these DeFi protocols, right? So same way you have your bank apps on your phones, right? There are apps called MetaMask and Rainbow apps as well, where you could like go on there and then create a wallet, right, easily on your with your mobile phone or your web browser using MetaMask or Rainbow wallets, right? You can create these wallet addresses, right, and then you can start using these wallet addresses to like interact with DeFi protocols. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. So those are some examples of some wallets that you can use, and I will talk to Ezekiel shortly, and then we'll come back to talk about where we are in crypto, in blockchain in general, where we are. Like, it seems as if we are in a better phase, a phase where things are still trying to find their fitting and things are not, it's just like building a house, and you've built a house, but the roofing hasn't come on, they've not done painting, but somehow you can still live in it just a little bit. That's the way I see it, and that's the way it's appearing. And I was going to ask you guys how it is, but Ezekiel Orji, over to you now. NFTs. What are NFTs?
NFTs are basically non-fungible token, but in a simplified term, because I realized that a whole lot of people have problems understanding what NFT is because it's not simplified enough for them, you understand? NFTs are basically the contract, they are the intellectual contracts that are being deployed, that you pay for, you understand, for a particular piece of work, you understand? And for a particular piece of work, NFTs can be anything, like literally anything, you understand? A lot of people mint pictures, a lot of people do gaming, a lot of people do this, a lot of people do that. It can be literally anything. NFTs is basically just digital assets, you understand? If anyone here has actually like watched through like Ready Player One or like some of the sci-fi movies that came out maybe earlier in the 2000s, you realize that one thing that they were really, really particular about is the matter of convergence, the matter of all information flowing at one place where people can actually be connected with it. It has always been the internet, but after the COVID, like that happened last year, it gave people a different way of thinking. People didn't want to really experience, they wanted a way to experience outside, but inside, you get. So at the source of that, NFTs has always been here since 2017, and now it's 2021. You understand? You need to understand that this thing has been here for a long time, you understand? But NFTs are basically just digital assets, digital value, you understand? And we are only seeing it now based on art, games, music, maybe documentaries, collectibles, gaming, you know, that kind of thing. But what it stands to be is really, 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 it's really jaw-dropping, especially when you think about the fact that we're moving into a digitized stage. You understand? So NFTs are basically what the future holds. You understand?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Now, the next question I would love to ask is, so what are the values locked in an NFT? What are the values locked in an NFT, and what makes it of value? Why should we pay attention to it, or what's the rave about it?
You need to understand that this thing came out in 2017. This thing came out in as far back as 2016, 2017. That's when this thing came out. So the values surrounding it is basically just, it's where human civilization is going to, you understand? Where people are starting to look for like digital assets and digital value, like I said, you understand? everyone says that, someone says that, oh yeah, I can't hold it, I can't touch it. A lot of things in this world that you can't hold and you can't touch, but they have real life value, or like how they actually depend. They actually have like real life value, you understand? So it's not a thing where the value is on the same space we operate. Everybody wakes up in the morning, you check your phones, you understand? You check your phones, you see all those likes, you see all those red ticks, all those blue ticks that they give people on there. That is what NFTs are, you understand? It's more like the intellectual property belongs to you alone, not to anyone else. You are the one having the intellectual property. You are the one going to be able to trade that intellectual property. So basically, that's what NFTs are. And it has given a whole lot of people who didn't have control of their intellectual property rights to their property. Apart from that, it has given them an expanse of space to do a lot, you understand? So like I said, when I say it's the future, it's what it is, you understand? And it's not, NFTs are not in the picture that you buy. That's why you can see something like a CryptoPunk or like a Bored Ape sell for like $150,000, you understand? The picture might look very simple and very normal, you understand? But you need to understand its worth. NFTs are basically digital asset that has worth, you understand? So how do you create that worth, you understand? So all those kinds of things are the things that comprises in what you have to do in NFTs and learning about NFTs, DeFi, yeah, all that kind of thing.
Can you walk us through the process of obtaining an NFT? So let's say maybe it's a digital work, maybe it's an art, or if it's something of value that is now on the blockchain as an NFT. So walk us through the process of being able to obtain it, which is usually called minting, and how to store it.
Okay, first of all, obtaining an NFT it's really not minting, you understand? Minting is when you're putting up works as a creator up online. But if you want to collect an NFT, like first of all, what my co-host said, he said that you'd have to have a MetaMask account. The MetaMask account acts as a browser. It also acts as a wallet, you understand? If you have it on your Google Chrome, it's just going to be an extension, you understand? But obtaining an NFT, it depends on which platform you want to obtain it from. There are different platforms to obtain NFTs. And every day, there are always new platforms that are coming out. I can count about 10 for you at this specific moment in time. And NFTs, people say, oh, it's just easy to right click and save the image, understand? Like I can see this image and I'll right click and save it. But you need to understand that the only place that thing has value is on the blockchain. The blockchain is what gives NFT its value. Without the blockchain, NFTs are completely rendered useless. Anybody can have it, you understand? But the blockchain is the thing that systematically dates everything, that, oh, this is the time that this NFT was minted, this is what it was, this is what it was that. So to get into all that, you need a wallet, like my co-host said, and that wallet acts as a browser. It acts as a what do they call it? As a place for you to store your receipts, your histories on transactions, and a whole bunch of other things, you understand? If you want to get an NFT, it depends on what platform. There are two platforms that I currently use right now. I use OpenSea and I use Foundation. OpenSea is like a market for all. You understand? Any works that's being minted on Foundation or Rarible will show on OpenSea. You understand? So it's a thing where if you want to get like from OpenSea now, you find a particular piece of art that you want. You understand? You need to make sure that you have a little bit of Ethereum in your account, because NFTs are mostly traded through Ethereum. There are other what do they call it, currencies, digital currencies that trade with NFTs, but mostly a lot of people use Ethereum. There's Tezos, there's Solana, there's Cardano, there's different there's RPK too, you understand? So when you're on OpenSea, let's say you want to get a collectible, or let's say you want to get a piece of art from OpenSea, you go to the piece of art, you buy it, you pay for the gas fees. Gas fees sometimes are mostly affected by the fact of people are trying to mint, people are trying to buy work, people are trying to mint at the same time. And people sometimes don't really have enough patience to actually like wait for their time to come. So they just keep on clicking. They just keep on adding money so that the minting fees, so that their own particular transaction can get like basically just to the higher level, and then can basically end up passing up as good, and it can go and everything. So gas fees are one thing you need to watch out for when you're getting an NFTs. And but from apart from that, you understand, all you just need to do is get your MetaMask wallet, have a little bit of Ethereum in your account, pick the NFTs that you want and buy it. How to hold an NFT? There are two ways to hold an NFT, and I'm going to say only the primary. I'm going to say the primary and secondary. Primary is just leaving it there. Primary is literally just leaving it there in your what do they call it, in your OpenSea, and then just letting it stay there. You understand? But secondary, you would have to put it with a ledger. A ledger is more of a USB drive. It's like a USB drive, but it's more of a cold wallet where you put your valuable things like tokens, coins, NFTs, Ethereum, you understand? And it's going to be away from the internet, you understand?
Right. Thank you very much, Ezekiel Orji, for that crash course in NFT. Now, we've listened very carefully to Njoku Emmanuel and Ezekiel Orji. And from what they've said, it's very clear that crypto, blockchain, NFT, DeFi, centralized finance is like a green field, something that is very new. There's still a lot of innovation happening there. There's still a lot of learning. And as such, there's a lot of risk that people are exposed to. The reason why we've set up this meeting today, we are not encouraging or telling anybody to get into crypto or not to get into crypto. Rather, this is just an educational and informational segment. So it is your responsibility to further go on and start researching on this innovation, get familiar with it, and know what it is. We are about rounding off now because we are almost at the top of the hour. But there's a particular question that I'm going to ask and see if I can take one more question is, where are we in light of the innovation happening on the blockchain? Where are we right now? Are we ready for prime time? Are we still in the experimental phase? Is this how it is? Is everybody invited now? Given how difficult it is. So I'll go with you first, Njoku Emmanuel. Where are we with regards to blockchain and crypto innovation?
Yeah, thanks, Jesse. So personally, I think we are still like the early days, right? If you compare where we are currently to when the internet started out, right, you'd see that we just started. We actually just started out, and it should continue to grow, and things would actually be more simplified, and the user experience around blockchain, right, to be more simplified and to like make traditional finance or traditional users come on the platform easily. So you can take this as an instance, right? When during the .com session, right, you know how difficult it is to like get on the internet and browse or download stuffs, right? That is how it is currently on the blockchain, where stuffs are still difficult to do. But as time goes on, right, as we evolve, right, solutions will be created, and this also actually be simplified. So in general, we are still at like it's still day one, right? We are still at the very early phase of crypto and blockchain.
Thank you very much. Ezekiel Orji, how about you?
What I would say is that everything based on crypto, NFTs, DeFi, everything, it's still on its embryonic stages. And it's still in its very, like, crypto is not in its embryonic stages, but NFTs are really well into the embryonic stages. And you need to understand that Nigeria is one of, I think, the third country that trades crypto, right? Nigeria is the third country or fourth or fifth that trades crypto. That is actually astronomical for a country where we have things like Twitter ban and we have things like no crypto trading, you understand? So my own take on this is that Nigeria is where they need to be right now, you understand? Despite of all the fact that we have been chastised about the fact that crypto is illegal, this is illegal, you understand? We still know that this is where the future is going to come from. DeFi, you understand? Decentralized finance, you understand? And as NFTs are, don't let anybody fool you and tell you that, oh, the metaverse, yeah, like NFTs is mad, is going, no. It's still in its embryonic stages, because you need to understand that when you check up online for all these things, you find out that there's no really information of what you can see. That's because everything is still in its beginner stages. So we are already, it's just like when I went to a talk yesterday and then they spoke about the metaverse, Web3, all that kind of thing. We are in the beginner stages, but at the same time, Nigerian creatives as a whole, Nigerian NFT collectors, Nigerian NFT people in crypto, wherever they are taking the bull by the horns, no doubt, you understand? Because we realize that we can't be left in the past anymore. With the space journey that went on. If Nigeria was one person, if Nigeria was part of the countries that basically created a space station and then flew us up there, definitely it would have been with the space race. But with the NFT race now, we are taking that bull by the horn. And I love it because being a part of a larger community of people who are able to like channel and direct where the future of the metaverse is going to is nothing short of revolutionary. And all I can say is Nigeria is on the path to where it needs to be.
Thank you very much, Ezekiel Orji and Njoku Emmanuel. Chubi, you have something to say before we take the closing remarks.
Yeah, okay, so first of all, I want to say thank you to both our guests for showing up. I think it's been a very, very interesting conversation. Thank you, Jesse, as well, for moderating this. I also want to thank everyone who has attended this so far. But I think my final comments, because I saw a comment on the chat where someone is asking, Hope Rise won't get into trouble. You know, obviously the obvious troubles, right? Regulatory problems. But I want to say, like Jesse mentioned, and I just want to kind of bring that back. What we do at the investment club is strictly education. This is not a financial advice session. This is basically strictly education. And the reason why we had to have this conversation is these things are, so when you talk about crypto and, you know, DeFi and NFTs just being a spin-off of that space, these things are technologies that have been born out of need, right? So if you look at NFTs for as an example, NFTs are giving artists, you know, and just creators in general, a way to monetize their work. And again, also just bypassing that middleman. So someone like Ezekiel now can sell his work without having to go through an art gallery or anything of sort. And then he gets a lot of credit for that, even when that's been resold and all of that. You talk about DeFi. The allure of DeFi is, you know, creating that, that security, that kind of privacy, and giving control to the consumer, taking control away from the middleman and putting it in the hands of, the consumer. So I said that to say whenever there is a new technology, and I was so happy when Njoku also mentioned the .com era. When there is, a new technology or just something that's new that has been created and is taking the world by storm, there's always friction because change is not easy. Change is not easy. But we had to do this session again just because these are spaces that if you really look at these things, you cannot say that like this is not the future. You cannot look at DeFi and say this is not the future, or this is not going to have like a place in our future globally, not just as Nigerians, globally. You can't look at NFTs and say, oh, this doesn't pose great opportunities for creators at the moment. And if you think about the technology in itself, like everyone said, these things are like at the early stages. If you think about the technology, there's also still much more potential for these things to bring much more value and just reshape our world. So that's the reason why we had to have this session, just so we can, at least just so you know about it. I guess that's all I really wanted to say. This is not financial advice. This is not, please don't go tell anybody that Rice said you should do anything. We didn't say that, but we definitely had to do this session so that we kind of like open it up so our audience is aware of where the world is going and the things that are shaping the world. Ezekiel said NFTs came up around 2016, 2017. There's almost been $200 million spent on NFTs just alone since that period of time. So this is something that is becoming something. We just have to know about it.
The
Thank
land
you.
was sold on the Axie Infinity Metaverse for 2.1 million.
Let me
Virtual
real
land.
quick. Can I say something real quick?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Go ahead.
You just said 200 million. $200 million is small money. Jesus Christ. You guys don't even understand when it comes to like the capacity of money that is actually you actually stand to make. You understand when it comes to NFT. The other day I was in a space with people who have had board apes since 2017. I was a co-host there. I was in a space with people that had like board apes in 2017. The way they spoke about this thing, you realize that there's another plane of making money. There's another plane of financial, like it's different basically, and it's just so overwhelming for you to grasp all that knowledge. Board apes, they are floor traded. That was like some days ago was basically 1.5 billion. That is just $1.5 billion. That is just a collectible. That's just one collectible. You're not even talking about the platforms like Super Rare. And you need to understand, like, platforms like Super Rare right now are already creating their own tokens that they can use, like in real world and everything. So that's actually gravitating to the stock market. You understand? So everything when it comes to DeFi, NFT, stock, crypto, is all connected. It's just the transition that we are actually tending to experience. Like he said that change is hard for people to accept, but it's always necessary. It's always good to let it evolve with you. Like the amount of money that goes around being traded back and forth, you understand? Like I said, decentralized finance. It's not the money is not with one person. If the money goes to one artist in 1 month, the next month is going to collectibles, all in collectibles. So it's a very complex space, but at the same time, a very highly interesting space. And I'm glad that the way Nigerian creatives and Nigerian creators have actually been taking that space is nothing short of amazing. You understand? We are creating worlds beyond what anybody thought that was actually possible. And when it comes to like NFT in Africa, Nigeria is spearheading it. We are spearheading it.
All right. Thank you so much. And that is how we come to the end of today's session. And before you go, we've just posted the link of how to join our investment group where we pioneer or share informative and educational content. Sometimes there are audio messages, sometimes there are text messages, and sometimes on a monthly basis, we hold virtual sessions like this. But caveat again, this is not an encouragement for you to get into crypto or NFT. This is just informing you about what's happening there. And our reference to a lot of liquidity flowing into there and a lot of transaction happening there is not to say it is risk-free. And we are not endorsing it. We're just saying this can inspire you to become curious. It sparks your curiosity, and then you can start to learn about it. One thing we need to know is that as a retail investor who is smart, leading with greed has resulted into a lot of people getting wrecked financially. The fact that someone sold Bored Ape for a certain amount of money, or someone sold an NFT land for a certain amount of money, is not a guarantee that we all can get into there and sell. No, it's just a reference that it holds potential and you can get curious. And as we always say as RiseVest, when we educate people, if you don't understand a thing, investing in it exposes you to unnecessary risk. Until we come our way next time, we'll say join us in our community and continue to learn to become financially intelligent. Thank you very much, Njoku Emmanuel, and thank you very much, Ezekiel Orji, for being our guest. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, everyone. We'll run out.
Yeah, bye.